That is Riku Mukherjee, and I am Tony Altieri, and welcome into the 5 of 6 Golf Show. Rick, pretty good waste management Phoenix Open. It never seems to disappoint. It's always on Super Bowl Sunday, or has been recently. And so we get a lot of like ancillary fans that wander into golf. And I think this tournament just continues to deliver. Elevated field, absolutely the best field of golfers that we've had all year. And our boy, Scotty Scheffler, arguably now officially number one in the world again after winning, pulls it off. And what do you think of the tournament overall, man? Just everything that is the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
I enjoyed it. I think it was a pretty exciting tournament. I had a runner there in John Rahm. I had a little Rahm Chiefs parlay, which fortunately would have hit if Rahm would have ended up winning. Had Rahm pretty much in every single one and done contest that I did, but he just couldn't get it done. He got outdueled by not only Scotty Scheffler, but he got outdueled by Nick Taylor on Sunday, and he ended up solo third, which is fine. It's still a little over $1 million, and I'll take that. But yeah, it was exciting. I don't know if it was for you, but didn't seem as exciting as the last couple of years. I don't know why, but maybe because there wasn't a hole-in-one at the 16th hole. Ricky Fowler's hole-in-one was pretty exciting, and then Scotty just didn't seem like he was very poised that he wasn't going to give it up. Like it didn't look like he was going to give up the lead, and it looked like it was his tournament from Saturday into Sunday. But overall, I still had a blast watching it. I love watching that tournament. It's exciting. It's all the best players in the world are there now, and like you said, leading into the Super Bowl on Sunday. So overall, I very much enjoyed it. Sad we couldn't hit a winner at that tournament, but it is what it is. That's just golf, and I enjoyed it. What about you? How'd you like it?
No, it was great. I think it's a blueprint for how to get like the ancillary sports fan involved. Like, because I had people that don't watch golf but know that I do this show with you, and that I have like a bunch of other things like kind of in and around PGA golf. People that follow, the models that we put together, that kind of stuff. That were like, dude, this is pretty cool. Like, that'd be a cool event to go to. And I'm like, yeah, it's I don't want to say it's the Super Bowl of golf, but it is like the most fan friendly PGA event there is. I mean, this place, you're going to see a million people there over a weekend, and it's one of the most heavily trafficked sporting events out there. And I think they do a great job. The course itself is set up to accommodate a large number of people if you've never been there before. And obviously the 16th is kind of the crowning jewel, that stadium that they build in and around that. But I do agree. I think it was a little bit like muted, maybe to your point, because there was no hole-in-one on 16. The best shot that I saw on 16 was actually on Saturday, and when Hadwin put it to like a foot as the very last guy to play the hole on Saturday.
He almost did it. He almost his shot on Sunday was to like a foot and a half. He almost got a hole in one twice.
Yeah, so it was pretty. I mean, it was cool to see, everything that is the 16th hole, but I definitely was like more. I don't know. It felt a little more like the crowd wasn't as raucous, right? We had 2 hole-in-ones last year, so maybe that's not a fair comp, but it did feel like maybe there were some people that were controlling things. Obviously, being right before the Super Bowl, you don't want to run over and have to contend with the finish. Yeah. So maybe there were some of those constraints from like a timing perspective. But overall, like I love waste management. I did find it funny that I never heard them call it like the Waste Management Phoenix Open, the Phoenix Open. It was the WM. It was like they went out to everybody. It was like, you have to call it the WM. Don't call it anything else but the WM. So it was just, again, very, very good in comparison with like regular PGA Tour events. Fantastic. But compared to itself in previous years, it felt a little, like it was missing something.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. I think the thing that threw it off a little bit was the delays. The fact that there was a frost delay that was like almost 2 hours long on Thursday morning, and then pretty brutal weather. It was pretty cold for most of the time, and I think because of those delays and stuff like that, I think they were really gung-ho on getting back on track and making sure that they got the tournament in before the Super Bowl started. I think that was pretty important for them. So I think because of that, there wasn't like, in the last year we had Harry Higgs and Joel Damon taking their shirts off on the 16th hole and tossing shit to the fans and stuff like that. Like we didn't get any of that this year. I think it was just like go hit your shot. Obviously, if you make a hole in one or a birdie, you can, pump up the crowd, celebrate, but no wasting time here. We got to get the ball rolling and get this tournament in time. So I think that had a little bit to do with it. It did sound a little quieter. Maybe it was just the speakers or the TV audio. I'm not really sure, but Chris went to the tournament. He said he had a blast. He said it was amazing. He was on the 16th hole in a suite, and he said he had a blast. So I imagine being there was super fun. But just, the overall TV experience was maybe a little FOMO, maybe a little bit of jealousy, not getting to be there and party with everyone else. But I still, I love watching golf, and I'll watch every single week, no matter what. So definitely had a level of enjoyment, but it's different this week. We got the same players, the same elevated event, and we got our boy back, Tiger. He's back.
Yeah, that is the story. Tiger Woods headlined his own tournament. It's funny because this is, of course, even when he was like at peak Tiger, like he never played very well here.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the few tournaments that he never won, right?
Yeah.
And Riv is just one of those places. It's long, it's difficult to typically, it's over par for making the cut. And you would think Tiger, because he's such a supreme iron player, like his game would match up here. But for whatever reason, he just didn't have a lot of success. There's a lot like piped into, tournaments being home games for guys, right? It's like, oh, this is in his backyard. He knows it. But there's also a bunch of other crap that goes along with that. Like when you are a professional athlete, and even at the college, I'll relate it to like myself, like I played away from where I was from, but when I would go and play games like back in the state where I was from, I would have like 15, ticket requests and like all kind of people showing up to the game and wanting to see me before and after. And when you're trying to prepare to compete, it's like it adds to it. And then you add, all of these other things involved with it being a home game that you normally don't have to deal with it when you're trying to get ready. And we know golfers are, creatures of habit. And we said it for years with Ricky Fowler at the Farmers, and maybe there is some of that with Tiger and Riv, that this is a home game, and there's just so much more baked into it being from LA. I don't know. Whatever it may be, he's never had a lot of success, but I'll tell you who has had a lot of success here: Max Homa. And Max is playing great. He played okay in Phoenix, looked really good in spots. But there are a number of guys you mentioned that this field is basically identical to what we had last week in terms of those like 20 to 30 guys that like should compete to win this thing. It is another elevated field. We're talking about, 30-40 million dollars or whatever it is worth of prize money. First place gets like 3.6 million. Shout out Nick Taylor. Like, dude was fighting for his tour card, finished his second place, shoots 6 under on Sunday, wins 2.2 million, man. He's secured his card for like another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I was reading that. Most years, the way he played and the number that he posted would have won that tournament.
Yeah,
and he got boat raced by Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler won this tournament by 3 strokes or two or 3 strokes. And in all honesty, like, yes, he went a long stretch of time without making a bogey, but he didn't really play that great, I guess. I didn't really look at the numbers, what his overall numbers were for the week, but it didn't look like he was playing that great. Like, it looked like he was like ho-hum, Scotty Scheffler, tee to green, he made a few putts here and there, and he just was like consistently not making bogeys. That's like was his thing. And he just made a birdie, and he birdied all the par 5s. He made an eagle on Sunday and got the job done. I think Scotty is going to be a staple at that tournament moving forward, and I don't think anytime in the future we can't not play Scotty at that event.
Yeah, to your point, the difference, and we saw it at the American Express for whatever reason, like this period of time, because this is when he started making his run last year when he won 3 times in like 6 weeks. He just putts really, really well. At the Amex, it was the same thing. He gained on the greens after losing for an unbelievable stretch where he was just losing strokes putting. Gains at Amex. And then all of the rounds here, except I think the first round, he gained on the greens here. Yeah. So like we talked about, like, Phoenix is one of those places where bad putters just seem to putt well. And he came through and won. And there's a similar dynamic here at Riv because the greens are so fast and so firm, it takes some of that putting proficiency out of it, and it brings more guys into play. Like the ball rolls truer. You just got to put it on the line and just and try and get it there. And for whatever reason, we've seen guys who are traditionally not great putters win here. And Joaquin Niemann's a perfect example of that. Last year, a terrible putter. Obviously, he's over in Live doing his thing, making billions of dollars for the Saudi government. But
Yeah.
this is the kind of place where we're going to see similar guys kind of rise to the top. But there also is a corollary with Augusta National. We see a lot of the names for guys who have had success historically, especially left-handers or guys who favor the draw. They just play well here. I mean, Bubba won here 3 times. Bubba's won, 2 green jackets. Jordan Spieth has historically played pretty well here. Mike Weir, who won, at Augusta, won multiple times at Riviera. Phil, I think, has won at Riviera too. So there seems to be something with lefties where the course favors that shot shape. So if you're a guy who likes to work the ball from right to left, you tend to have success at a place like Riviera, and it will play fast and firm, and it's going to be tough. So it'll be really, really interesting. Max Homa, like we talked about before we get too far into it, he's a guy who we've seen now win the Wells Fargo twice, win the Fortinet twice, and he won this event 2 years ago. And so here we come, into 2023. He's in great form, doing everything you want to be doing. And, is this a place where he can go back-to-back years? The only difference is this is a super field versus, what we've seen traditionally at Riviera.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we've had bad fields here. We've had good fields here just because it's like Tiger Woods' event. Everyone's going to come out and play most years. But yeah, man, I mean, we'll get into it in a minute, but I always say death tax is in Max Homa in California now, and we just saw it a couple weeks ago. He just won at Torrey 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it's going to be exciting this week. I love this. I love this course, man. This course is just beautiful on TV. It's not easy. It's a hard course. The winning score is usually like 10, 11, 12 under. It doesn't get really past that. And this is very, very challenging putting on this course. We see tons of putts missed inside 5 feet at this course for whatever reason. It's the hardest course on tour where putting inside 5-10 feet is just like a lot of misses. So if you get excited following the shot tracker and see your guy hit it to 4 feet, you can't expect him to make it every single time. So yeah, it should be exciting. Can I vent about that for 1 second? I know you don't know about that, or like you don't really follow it or sweat it, and a lot of people like don't really care. But this new PGA Tour website, my God, it is so awful. Like the upgrade that they made is just so awful. Like now you have to like for following shot tracker, you have to like click each individual player and it expands it and like takes up the whole screen. So you have to like scroll up and down. Like used to be able like you just started the 6 players and then you would hit a button and it would just say play by play. And then like you could see all your players play by play, like all at the same time on the same screen. And now they upgraded it. I don't know if they're going to fix that or not, but I went on Twitter on Thursday and there was just nothing but complaints and like people just bitching and moaning on Twitter about the new website. And it was really frustrating because I was sitting here trying to track my players and like it just having to scroll down to like see your players is just really annoying.
Yeah, no, what's funny is I've actually never used the PGA Tour website to track it. I use Fantasy National, and then the app. Like in the app, I had similar things where it was like buggy, right? Like you'd go to scroll and you'd automatically like favorite people, and it was just kind of weird to get used to. But yeah, I haven't used the website, but I did see a number of people on Twitter complaining about how difficult it was to like actually track what was happening with the guys you wanted to see.
Yeah, the navigation was super hard, and then kind of kept freezing a little bit. I was not happy about that, especially when so fired up to like on Thursday morning you're like, oh yeah, my lineups are locked. I just want to follow my guys and all that stuff, and it was just frustrating. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's talk about these guys here.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. I love the segue. We're talking about Tiger's tournament. He is back. He made the announcement early last week that he would be playing. We talked about the fact that this is not a place where he's had much success. And so, for me, like gauging what Tiger does here, for me, if Tiger makes the cut, that is a massive victory. We're talking about a guy who's obviously on the backside of his career. He's dealing with basically a reconstructed knee and lower leg. He's got major plantar fasciitis, and he just doesn't have the distance and consistency that you need to be successful at Riviera. So if he by some grace of God makes the cut, I would consider that a massive success this week.
He's an underdog to make the cut. I saw the odds this morning, and I think it was like plus 150 or something, plus 125 to make the cut. So
Yeah.
usually don't see that. Usually don't see Tiger at 7,300. Usually don't see him 100 to 1 to win a tournament. I don't think I've ever seen those numbers in my life. So it's weird, but I don't care. I'm still going to watch every single shot. I'm not going to bet him. I'm not going to play him in DraftKings. But if he wins this tournament, I'll be so excited. That's all I can really say about Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's 100 or whatever to 1 to win. I just, it's not a bet for me, but he is still the most important figure in golf. Like the PGA needs Tiger Woods to move the needle to the casual sports fan, and it makes sense. I mean, like while the NFL didn't rely on Brady to sell tickets or to do anything, like he occupies so much space in the room. Like you have to acknowledge Tom Brady, and the same thing exists for Tiger Woods. Like he is the face of golf and will continue to be, and has been for, basically 2.5 generations. Like there's kids now, like my nephews are, 10, 11, and 12 years old, and they know who Tiger Woods is, and they think he's the greatest golfer of all time, and they've never seen him hit a shot in his peak. So, it's just one of those things where it's exciting for everybody that he is in the tournament. He is involved, especially, at a tournament like this where we have so many big names coming in and so many great players that are coming in with great form, great history. And it makes it really, really interesting to talk about, who we like and who we think is going to win. So let's go ahead and jump into it, Rick. Right at the top of the board, all the guys priced above $9,000. It's basically the who's who of golf. I'm surprised that a couple guys have snuck into the 9Ks and a couple guys have dropped out of the 9Ks, but we can get into that in a second. Obviously, John Rahm in California on POA. He is your odds-on favorite to win. He is also the highest priced guy on DraftKings, and it's hard to argue with that. Scotty Scheffler right behind him. Rory McIlroy getting a little bit of a discount after kind of a subpar performance at the Waste Management. JT, Xander, Homa, Finau, Morikawa coming off a missed cut. Sam Burns and Patrick Cantlay, home game for him coming off a missed cut. Who do you like here at the top of the board, Rick?
Oh man, it's a good question. I think it's probably safe to say now, like especially after Scotty winning last week, that we have Rahm, Scotty, and Rory. They're like on their own tier, right? Like it's those three guys, and then the rest of the field. I think so, at least. So we see Justin Thomas sneaking here into the 10K range next to those guys. I said it last week. I faded Rory completely last week which ended up working out, because I always say that, Rory's first event of the year in America is usually kind of a warm-up event. Even though he's been in amazing form, he just takes a little bit of time to get his feet acclimated to the American PGA Tour, and usually doesn't like really heat up until like the Players and stuff like that. But I like Rory here, man. I mean, he has really good history here, obviously. 4 out of 5 made cuts with a T10, a T5, and a T4 the last 3 out of 4 years. He's, obviously in great form. He's been, winning overseas and playing well overseas and stuff like that. So he has good course history here. He, we talked about it before that one thing you definitely need to be here as a bomber, and I think that's very important. And all 4 of these guys are basically bombers, you could say. Even though bombing the ball off the tee is important here, I also think it's important to be really good around the greens here, because you're going to miss a lot of greens. So you got to be able to kind of get up and down from anywhere. Rory's very good at that. And then, I mean, I know you're a JT guy. I'm not really a JT guy, but I like JT here. He for some reason, I still have this sour taste in my mouth when last year he finished 6th, but the 2 years before that, I used Justin Thomas here for one and done. He missed the cut both years, and I was just like, God damn it. It's like some of the worst golf I've ever seen him play those 2 years. And then he comes back last year when I didn't use him in one and done, and he played really well. He finished 6th. So it was a little mixed bag of finishes for him. 6th, cut, 2nd, T9. He's the best player around the green the last 36 rounds in this field. So I'll go back to him, man. Even though he's left a sour taste in my mouth in the past, I like Rory and Justin Thomas up here in the 10K range. I just think Rahm and Scheffler, I mean, they're just I mean, yes, they're probably a cut above everyone else, but I just think they're a little bit too expensive given the depth of this field here. I mean, would it be surprising if either of these guys won? But no. But um, Scotty Scheffler doesn't have great history here. He has a T20, a T30. He had a T7 last year, coming off of his first win at Waste Management last year. John Rahm also, for him, not the greatest. T21 last year, T5 the year before that, T17. So I don't know, man. This upper range. I mean, it looks like on paper, Justin Thomas has had the best results, so he's somebody I would probably go to. But I like Rory. He got his warm up event out of the way. He doesn't really like playing Waste Management. This is a tournament where he's coming. He's gonna, Tigers in the field. It's a great event, great course. I like Rory at classical courses like this. So definitely like Rory and Justin Thomas up top. In the 9K range, I mean, obvious, of course, Max Homa. I mean, that's going to be my guy right there at 9,700. Last week, I thought maybe he might have been priced a little bit too high at 9,900. Gets a little bit of a discount here, and we go back to California, back to POA, where he's phenomenal. His results here the last 3 years have been incredible. T10, a win, and T5. So I like Max Homa. And I mean, I think Sam Burns is a little bit too priced too high here, but he does have good history here. He had a third place finish here a couple years ago. He did miss the cut last year, so that's not great. But I think for me in this 9K range, it's just gonna be Homa and Cantlay. Like Cantlay never misses the cut here. And does he have the upside to win this event? I think he does. But he's a local guy. He went to UCLA. He's a California guy. Getting him at $9,000 seems pretty nice. I think that's a good price for him. I mean, he could easily be 9,500, 9,600, 9,700. So we're getting a good price for Patrick Cantlay. So I think my 4 favorite plays up here are Rory, JT, Homa, and Cantlay. And then you can tell the audience why you love Tony Finau.
Well, the reason I love Tony Finau is if you look at basically the last 5 years, he's played very, very well at this course. Obviously last year was the worst result that he's had, but within that 5-year stretch, we're talking about 2 second place finishes, one of which was, I believe, a playoff loss. So, this is a place where he's got some comfort and he's arguably playing the best golf of his career right now. Like he's just been consistently so reliable tee to green. And it really, really comes down to, putting and around the green game for him. If he can get up and down, if he can minimize the damage on the putting surfaces, like that is the place that you need him to do his best. Like for me, the key stats this week, like I'm big on driving distance. I'm big on par 4 scoring. There's a key proximity range where the plurality of shots are going to come from like 150 to 200. So I've made an emphasis on those longer approach shots from 175 to 200. And in every one of those categories that I rattled off, he's a top 15, top 10 player. And then just raw strokes gained data, the last 5 years here, and then the last 5 or 6 events coming into this, he's 1 or 2. So I just think there's a lot of things that are just trending for him right now. And again, in terms of, outright betting and things like that, can Tony Finau beat the Rory McIlroys and the John Rahms? I don't know, but I would say this, that the floor is very, very high for me on where I think Tony Finau is going to finish. Like it's like top 10 is like guaranteed with him. And I say that, and he'll probably miss the cut this week, but that's how I feel about like his upside is that, he presents such a dynamic player on a course like this that puts a premium on ball striking. So I like Finau a lot. I also like Xander. When I was doing my one and done analysis for who I was going to take, it was coming down to him and Xander. The reason I love Rory for all of the things that you said. One of the comp courses here is also a comp course where Max Homa's one is Quail Hollow. Rory's run multiple times at Quail Hollow. So, everything sets up for him to play well here. You mentioned it. He knocked the rust off at Wampo last week. So we're probably going to see the best version of Rory. I think he is probably the most likely guy to win this week if I had to put money on it, but I can't bet on the odds and I'm not going to burn Rory here. I want to save him for the majors. So he's a guy that based off of those things, I will stay away from. From the DraftKings side, those would be the 3 guys, Rory, Xander, and Finau. All 3, I'm assuming, will be super, super chalky. But those three guys above 9K are probably 1, 2, 3 for me. Cantlay is interesting. You brought up the point that this is about as home game as a home game gets. He went to Servite High School just outside of this area in LA. So this is a place that he grew up playing multiple times, knows like the back of his hand. And it's also a place where he's had very, very good finishes. So, off of a pretty bad week last week, you might get a bit of an ownership discount on him. And when you see, like, to your point, Sam Burns priced above him, that's a little bit of a head scratcher. So I feel like I'm getting Patrick Cantlay at a discount. So he's interesting to me at $9,000 as well too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can say with like 95% confidence on a Monday that I think out of all these guys, Tony Finau is going to be the highest owned. I think he's going to be the chalkiest guy out of all these guys. I like him. I like the play. I don't know. I just think I would rather spend the extra $200 and get Max Homa. And we saw these two play it out in a playoff a couple years ago. I think you had the ticket for Homa, right, in that tournament.
Yep.
I think I had a Finau ticket in that tournament, so I was not happy. So it's just one of those situations where you want to eat the chalk. You can go ahead and eat the chalk with Finau. It's not like Homa's not going to be unowned, but I think those two guys are going to eat up the ownership in this range. Not those two guys, those three guys, Xander, Homa, and Finau, and I think everyone else is going to be lower owned in this range, in the 9K range. So if you want to get a little different, you would go to Sungjae, Morikawa, Burns, or Cantlay, in my opinion. And out of those four, I think Cantlay has to be the guy for me, just because good course history, and just we could talk about the local angle, but we can't sit here and not talk about Colin Morikawa for a second. He did finish runner up to Joaquin Niemann last year. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts about him? Because he looked really good in Hawaii. He looked really good at, what was the other course that he almost won at? Amex, I think it was, maybe. I'm not sure, but and then he looked really bad last week. He missed the cut. And one thing that I noticed that these guys have been talking about on podcasts that I watch is that Colin Morikawa is a very, very, very poor player in the wind, and for whatever reason, he's just, when it's windy out there and he gets his cut going, it just kind of, I don't know. I watch his shot tracker, it just kind of balloons out to the right. And he has no control of his fade in the wind. And if it's a windy week, I don't like playing him. But if the wind, if the wind's going to be calm and we're going to have good weather this week, I haven't really looked at the weather this week yet. I think he's a play at 9,300. He obviously played well here last year. He's 3 of 3 made cuts here. We know tee to green iron wise, he's great. But if the conditions are good, I think Colin Morikawa is a good play at 9,300.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that you brought up where the wind seems to affect him. And when you think about guys who are very good iron players, right? Especially guys who are great long iron players, one of the things that they're able to do is they're able to put a lot of loft on the ball, even with a 4 or a 5 iron, to get the ball to stick on greens. Yeah. That's the earmark of a great long iron player. But that also means that those guys tend to struggle in the wind because their ball is going to be more susceptible to whatever the wind's going to do. So guys like Jason Day, who are traditionally high ball flight guys, they also tend to be really good around the green guys. And that is one place where, obviously, it's no big secret, Colin Morikawa absolutely struggles. Like, he struggles around the green. So, to your point, when the wind does pick up, it just puts him in a bad spot where he's, his proximities are off, and now he's forced to, hit shots and try and put things close. And that's just not a strength for him. So the thing for me is, when I look back at like what he did at Wampa last week, is just, he putted terribly. And that's always another big earmark of him, is like when he putts like minimum, like middle of the field, like he wins tournaments. When he putts like he normally does, he's going to struggle. And he putted god awful last week and missed the cut very, very badly. To your point though, like UCLA guy, home game, and Colin Morikawa in California, that again, Morikawa, Cantlay, Homa, those like just John Rahm. They feel like auto plays when you're in California. The other place that you were talking about where he played really, really well was at Farmers. That's just down the road here in San Diego. He took 3rd at the Farmers. So, again, despite this really, really poor putting, show that he had in in Phoenix, it might be a good bounce back place for him, especially if we're getting him at a discount. And I screwed it up. He's not a UCLA guy. He's a Cal
Cal
guy.
guy, yeah.
Yeah. Him and
But
Homa both went to Cal.
he's from Southern California, though, right?
Yeah.
He's from the
Yep.
LA area. Yeah.
Yep. He and Homa are both from LA, but played college golf at Cal.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at his. So he's at 12 rounds here. So if we're going to put an emphasis on around the green play, putting at this course, and I'm just looking at it, he's gained on 7 out of his 12 rounds around the green, and he's gained 6 out of his 12 rounds putting. So kind of 50-50 for both of those pretty much. So if we get the good around the green week, and if we get the good putting week from him, we know the ball striking is going to be there. I'm looking at his 12 rounds that he's played here, and he's literally gained every single round when it comes to ball striking and off the tee and stuff like that. But if he just can get a good week where he's chipping and putting well, I think he's going to be in contention come Sunday.
Yeah, no, I like the call. I think it's probably one of the safer plays in the 9Ks. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of the guys there.
Yeah.
Sungjae is another guy. We didn't even talk about him. But, I mean, if we're going to kind of run through the gamut, we might as well throw it out there here at the end. I mean, he's been playing fantastic. This is not a place where he's had a ton of success, but, he's playing very, very good golf right now. It's solid. And, if he is half the ownership, to your point of like Homa and Finau and Xander, like that's worth a GPP play, because if he shows up and plays well, you automatically knock out half of the guys in the field. So I like everyone here. Burns is probably my least favorite of everybody, and it's because I just feel like he's a little bit overpriced. But if Burns was 8,500, I'd probably be all over him.
Yeah, he was. I think it was 2 years ago. He was leading this tournament going into the back nine on Sunday, and then he hit it out of bounds on 10 or something like that, and he fell apart after that. So he didn't end up winning this tournament, but. Yeah, man, he played good last week. I thought he played pretty well at Wampo, and it's a well-deserved price bump for him, but I just don't think he is the same caliber golfer as the guys that are around him. I mean, Sam Burns or Patrick Cantlay. I mean, I'm going to take Patrick Cantlay 10 out of 10 times here, and he's cheaper than him. So the pricing there just doesn't make a little sense to me. But I mean, Sungjae, I'm out on Sungjae this week. He's the only guy amongst these guys that has actually lost strokes gained total at this tournament, weighted strokes gained total. So he has a big red flag there for me. So I don't like the course history here for him. But he has been playing good. I mean, obviously, if you want to pump him in as like a GPP kind of filler, but no way he's going to touch any of my cash lineups or anything like that this week. So I'm kind of out on Sungjae this week.
Dropping down into the 8Ks, dude, this is stacked. I mean, this feels like major pricing in the 8Ks. The names that are here, to the point about Burns being 9,100, and names like Hovland, Young, Zalatoris, Spieth, Tom Kim, all being priced below him. It seems odd, but they are. And we've got a great mix of guys here, from Adam Scott at the bottom, who's gained more strokes tee to green than any player over the last 5 years at Riv, all the way up to the guy who's at the top of this at Victor Hovland, who, basically hasn't finished worse than 5th place at this place in the 2 times that he's played it. Cam Young, 2nd place here last year in his only professional tour of duty at Riviera. Will Zalatoris, we were asking, where the hell was Will Zalatoris last week? Guess what? He's here this week, and I feel like we're getting a discount, and I feel like we're going to get ownership discounts as well, too, because of how many people are going to end up playing 2 guys in the 9 and 10K ranges. I feel like these guys, who are all solid plays and could legitimately win the tournament, are going to go under-owned on DraftKings and are probably going to go underplayed like in one and done leagues this week.
Yeah, just looking at the ownership early on a Monday, it looks like Victor Hovland's getting the chalk here. He's going to be the chalky guy here, and looks like for whatever reason Tom Kim's going to be the pivot here. I like that. I like Tom Kim as a pivot because people are going to be like, oh, he's never played here before, he's never experienced this course before. You know what? I mean, every course is new for Tom Kim. Maybe the course doesn't isn't the best course fit for him. He's not the biggest hitter off the tee. I get that, but he's pretty electric. So I don't mind I'll take the ownership discount for him, but I do like Vic up here. I think Vic is, his two finishes here have been T4 and T5. He mashes the ball off the tee. He hasn't been playing the greatest recently, but I think he's the caliber player to, we have the upside with Vic Hovland here, where I think he could easily win this tournament. I like Cam Young. It was really nice last year for me, where I had a nice Neiman ticket and I had a nice Cam Young ticket, and they were, coming down 1 and 2 at the end of the tournament. I would have taken either one as a win, but I like Cam Young also. I like Will Z. I like this whole range. I'm not gonna lie. You called it. This range is great. The only guys that I'm probably out on here is I'm not in on Jason Day this week. I know he's been playing great. I know his ball striking has been great, but his history here is not the greatest. He's only played it once in the last 5 years, and it was a missed cut in 2020. So I'm not feeling that much. So I think for me, just overall, like play wise, I think for me, Cam Young's going to be my favorite play, just because I think this course suits him extremely well. And I like the Adam Scott call. Like you said, this guy is just a phenom at this course. He had T4 last year, a win a couple of years ago, T7 before that. This guy's just this is the course for Adam Scott, where he just comes in, he's like James Bond. He just swoops in on his helicopter and posts a top 10 here. So I like Adam Scott here also. I don't really have any thoughts about anyone else here. I guess Hideki is a little bit interesting, but he's just kind of, here or there recently, so I'm not really sure about him. Who's your favorite play here? Because I think for me, it's Cam Young, Vic, and Adam Scott. I don't really have anybody else that I'm super interested in this range, even though they're all pretty good plays.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's pretty solid. You've got to your point, a resurgent, Jason Day and Justin Rose. They're at the bottom of this range that are playing the best golf that you've seen these guys play in a very, very long time. I don't like the course setup for either guy, even though Rose had some success here previously. But I think for me, and it'll be for different reasons. If I was to rank like my favorite plays, it's hard to argue with the Vic take that you had. I just worry about ownership. And for me, I'll find the $100 to go up to Patrick Cantlay. I love Cam Young here. I know that he has had some struggles here recently in terms of his last couple of results. So he hasn't been playing the best. He was a really popular pick last week at the Waste Management, and he disappointed, basically barely made the cut and came in DFL. Yeah. But I do think the long-term form, there's a premium on distance here, and he's number 3 in driving distance in this field. So I love Cam Young. I like Zalatoris. I think you're going to get people that are going to forget, like, the guy plays great at long, difficult courses.
Yeah.
You can take everything that Joaquin Neiman did well, and he does them even better. This is a course where Neiman won and had success. And so I like Zalatoris a lot here. It's especially if the greens are going to be super fast and firm. I like him. And then going down just one more notch, a guy that I will have in lineups, because I think if there's an Augusta comp, like, how can you not pepper a little bit of Jordan Spieth in there? And I know, again, we go back and look at the last 5 years, hasn't been great, but if you go back before that, like to 2018, like this was a course that he played very, very well at. And he's gone through a lot of swing changes here over the last 3 or 4 seasons. Ball striking was phenomenal last week. The guy could not make a putt inside of 10 feet. So you just got to hope the putter flips, which is a crazy thing to think about Jordan Spieth, where we need him to be a good putter. But he's just been not a good putter for the last 6 months and been a phenomenal ball striker. So I do like Jordan Spieth here as well, too. And then the last guy, which I'm not a big fan of, but I just, again, for the same narrative that I threw out about Will Z, fast, firm, difficult. If it gets windy, the conditions gets tough. Like Fitzpatrick, like we watched Fitz and Will Z battle it out in the U.S. Open last year in a course that's probably going to set up very similar to Riv, where there's a lot of elevation changes. There's a lot of hidden distance where you're playing long, blind par 4s, long par 3s. And it feels like maybe this is a good spot to me for Fitz, coming off of, being slightly injured at Pebble, barely making the cut. quietly finished top 30 last week at Waste Management. And at 8,300, like, I feel like that gives you some leverage to go to other spots. I haven't seen it from Hideki where I can go back to him. And then Hatton's the other guy that, is a little bit interesting. We saw him play really, really well through three days of the tournament. Obviously, Saturday he played phenomenal, but I knew when he missed the putt on 18 and bogeyed 18 coming in on Saturday that he was not going to be in the picture on Sunday. But again, firm, fast, windy. Like if the conditions get tough, which I don't know if they will, because I haven't even taken a look at the weather yet.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get a little bit of rain like tomorrow and maybe even into Wednesday, but it has, for those of you who don't live in Southern California, it has been unseasonably windy around here as of late. In the mornings and in the afternoons. I mean, we've had 20, 30 mile an hour gusts and it's cold. So, if those conditions are prevalent, on the weekend and up in LA this week, like, we could see some of these guys, especially if we're talking about a tournament like Riv, where, the cut is like +1, +2, +3, and your winners are coming out, anywhere from, 9 to 13 under. Like, that feels like a Fitz Zalatoris type of course where I don't need him to go out and shoot 21, 22 under to win.
Yeah. I'll just make 2 more points and then we'll move on, because I know you gotta be out of here by 7:30. Jordan Spieth, I agree with that. Even when he was not, playing well the last few years, the guy's never missed a cut here. The guy is just a cut making machine here. So he played well last week. So I like the Jordan Spieth call. And the other thing I was going to say, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't remember. Yeah, sure. I like Fitzpatrick too. Yeah, Matthew Fitzpatrick. I was going to mention him. He's not an $8,300 golfer. He's just not. Like, he's a better golfer than I think out of all these guys, he's probably a better golfer than all of them. He should be probably priced in the 9K range, but he's priced down because of his neck injury and then, 29th finished place last week. So I like the discount for him. He's sneaky long, which is not something you really think about with Matthew Fitzpatrick. So he definitely has a driving distance to compete here. His 2 finishes here are a T5 and a T30. Pretty good. Nothing to sneeze at there. So I like the Fitzpatrick call. I think he's a good he's a good pivot off the chalk of Hovland and Cam Young at the top there.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. We'll drop down into the 7Ks, and again, we see more very, very good names. Obviously, the one that everyone wants to talk about is Ricky Fowler. Fowler played another great week. You mentioned it. He had an ace out in Phoenix. Does he have the game to win in this kind of field? I mean, I mentioned it, on the Discord channel, and if you're not on the Discord channel, I would tell you, go down into the comments on this video, click the Discord link, join that, because it's open communication with Rick, me, and the rest of the Nickel City Mafia community. It's fantastic. But his iron play has been phenomenal for a multi-month stretch now. The new swing, which has been manicured and retooled by Butch Harmon, looks unbelievable. And he played great in Phoenix, man. He looked comfortable the whole time. What do you think of Ricky this week?
I loved him last week. I'm not a huge fan of Ricky this week. I get that he's striking the ball well. He's played here the last 2 years. He's made the cut both times. Honestly, like, I'm looking at the other guy at 7,900 in Siwoo Kim a little bit more than Ricky Fowler this week. I actually like some of the guys below Ricky Fowler too. I really was like, I loved Ricky last week. It was a good, I was gushing about him on the show. I thought that was a perfect setup for him. This course, I'm not as thrilled to play Ricky Fowler. Siwoo Kim has won this season already. He won at Sony a few weeks ago, and then he's made nothing but top 25 finishes the last few weeks after that. He has decent course history here. He had a 3rd place finish here in 2019, a T37 after that. So I like Siwoo Kim right at the top. It looks like a lot of people are going to be going to Wyndham Clark here. He's one of the longest players off the tee. He had a DQ here. I don't know why he got DQ'd here last year. I don't really remember that at all, but he had a DQ here last year, but 2 years ago he had a T8 and a T17 before that. So this is a good course for Wyndham Clark. I get why people are gravitating towards him. And then, I mean, I I don't understand it, but like Keegan Bradley is just he's a different golfer right now, man. Like I just don't get it. He honestly, I think he should be priced in the 8K range. Like he's playing good enough where he deserves an 8K price tag, in my opinion. He was in my main lineup last week. I loved Keegan last week. He played pretty well. I think he ended up finishing top 20 or something like that. But I like him again this week, man. He's so good off the tee. He's long tee to green is good. He doesn't have the greatest history here. Nothing better than a T48, which is a little scary. But I like him, man. He's just playing. He's a different golfer than he is before that. So I like Keegan up there. What are your thoughts about those guys up there right at the top? Like, who's your favorite between Siwoo, Ricky, Wyndham Clark, and Keegan Bradley? And we'll even throw Sahith Theegala in there too. Who's your favorite out of those five?
Yeah, I'm with you on Keegan. There's just he's a different guy this year. I like what I've seen so far. The results are phenomenal, and again, historically, with the kind of profile that he has, being just an immaculate ball striker and not a great putter, I would probably rank him as my favorite. I hear what you're saying about Siwoo. I mean, he's having a phenomenal year. You know, he starts it off with a win, and then now he's rattled off, I think, like 3 top 25s in a row. So,
eighth overall in your model is nice, man.
Yeah, I mean, from like a stat perspective, he's not the best, but great at par 5 scoring, great with long irons. He's top 20 from 175 to 200. So those things bode well for him. So I totally get why you like Siwoo and why a lot of people are behind him. Wyndham Clark, because of the distance. I think he's either 1 or 2 in driver distance in the field. So if I was to rank him, I would say I would go Keegan 1 because of the price point, and I think he should be at 8K. Probably Fowler 2 for me, and that just might be a homeboy, Myriad, a Temecula lean. Siwoo's probably 3 for me. Wyndham 4 and Theegala 5.
Okay.
I haven't seen that gear from Sahith yet that I thought we would see, and I know we just finished 4th at the Farmers. Like, don't get me wrong, but I just haven't seen like that next gear where he's like competing with this, with the Cam Youngs and the guys like that. So I got to see it more consistently. But we are in California. He went to Pepperdine, so this is a home game for him as well too. But those would be my guys there, all like at the top of the board there. The other guy I like, of course, is Taylor Montgomery. I know he missed the cut last week, but the long-term form on the kid is unbelievable, and so I'm going to continue to ride that train as long as possible. Dropping down below 75K for me. Even though Noren missed the cut, I'll probably go back there. This sets up very well for him, especially with the long iron play. Who else do I like below this? Patrick Rogers missed the cut last year, but prior to that, I mean, he was like a top 20 machine at this place. Great POA putter. And then the other guy that I'll throw out, and I know he's been god awful as of late, but is Cam Davis. For whatever reason, Aussies play really, really well at this tournament. I don't know what it is. Big eucalyptus trees on every hole. I don't know, but we've seen the Aussies play really, really well. And Cam Davis at his best, I think, could even contend to win at a tournament like this. So statistically, like, he's going to rate out really, really well the key stats that I've kind of identified, off the tee approach, driver distance, par 5 scoring, par 4s over 450 to 500, that long proximity range. All of those stats he rates out really, really well. And he's made 2 cuts here previously, and I think you're getting a massive discount in him. Cam Davis was a guy we saw kind of like in the 8Ks perennially here last couple of months, and he misses a couple cuts, and he's a forgotten man at $7,000. So I like the discount on him. Last guy I'll throw at you is Detry. Again, he's like European Tony Finau from a couple years ago. I don't think he can win, but I think he makes the cut. And if you're looking for a guy at 7,100 who's just going to make the cut, I like him.
I'm completely out on Cam Davis, man, until he turns it around. He's played some of the worst golf I've seen the last month and a half.
It's not been good. It's not been good.
It's not like he's missing the cut on the number. He's like shooting like plus 10 like at tournaments. So I need to see a little bit of a turnaround for him before I click that name again. The guys that I like below 7,500, I'm gonna go back to Nick Taylor, man. He played so freaking good last week. Like, he stood in there with Rahm and Scheffler on a Sunday, and he shot 65 at Wampo, and that's phenomenal. He has good course history here with the T20 in 2021. I like KH Lee. He's made 4 out of the last 4 cuts here. So he fits well this tournament. Like Russell Henley at 7,400, even though, us in general as a show, we kind of hate Russell Henley. I like him at this course
because he's killed us multiple times.
But at 7,400, we just need him to make it a cut, really, and have show some upside. And he has done that 4 out of the last 4 years. So I will take some Russell Henley here. I don't think I'm ever going to play JT Poston again after what he did to me last week, shooting 2 of the worst rounds I've ever seen in my life. I'm just kidding. I'll play JT Poston again, but not this week. I just have a sour taste in my mouth for this week. I like the Taylor Montgomery call. What you said earlier, we were striving towards around the green and putting at this course, and he's really good in both of those categories.
Yep.
I like the Dietrich call. I just don't really know if he's a good player off the tee, so I don't know if he. I think you need. I hate guys playing this course for the first time. It's a little scary for me just because I feel like you need to have a little experience around this track before you can really submit to playing them. But I think those are my guys. I think for me, my favorite play below 7,500 is going to be Nick Taylor, and I think my second favorite play is going to be Russell Henley, KH Lee, and I like the Noren call too. He has good history here. 4 out of 4 made cuts the last 4 times he's played here. I think that's it for me under 7,500. I'm not going to go to people like
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, Tiger Woods not going to be a player for me. Gary Woodland, I know you love him, but I hate him. I'm not going to play.
I'm off this week, man. I hate to say it, but I'm off Gary this week.
Yeah, Patrick Rogers, I like too. I like that call. I mean, he did miss the cut last year, but before that, T12, T30, T15, T26, which is out of a $7,000 price tag, that's all you're really asking for. I like the Patrick Rogers call. We know he's a good player on POA in California, so I don't mind that either.
So 2 more names that I want to throw out there, and then one guy I forgot. I circled him as like maybe my favorite play in this range, but Lowry and Fleetwood at $7,300. Like, I'm just thinking long-term form. Like, these are elite level guys that are perennial Ryder Cup guys for Europe, and they're
shocking price tags.
I mean, that is, I don't think I've ever seen Tommy Fleetwood and Shane Lowry below 7,500 like in the last 2 years, 3 years. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, those are very, very interesting price tags. I don't really get why they're priced at that range. They were literally, Shane Lowry was 8,300 last week in this almost same exact field. So I don't get the $1,000 price discount for him, but I'm not too interested in either of those guys. I think they're just, they're more, there are guys that if it gets a little windy and a little nasty, I don't mind them there then. But just this, I don't feel like this course fits either of those guys really well. So I think I'm out on both of those guys.
The last name that I'll throw at you, and it was the one I can't believe I almost missed it, but dude, Taylor Moore. Do we just continue to ride Taylor Moore like Taylor Montgomery, where dude, this guy finished top 25 here at this course last year, and coming into this, he's posted an 11th, a 15th, and a 14th. Like, he's just playing phenomenal. His ball striking is off the charts. He's been pretty good putting. Around the green is probably the one place where we've seen him consistently not be the best. But, dude, the kid is playing lights out right now.
I'm in. I'm totally in. 14th in your model. Made the cut here last year, finished T21. I like that. I'm in on Taylor Moore.
All right. Dropping down into the 6Ks for the sake of time. The one name stuck out, Johnny Vegas, dude.
Yeah, man.
Did we not just have the same conversation last week at Waste Management?
Why is he 6,900? He should be in the 7Ks. Like, he's way better than anyone else in this range.
Like, it blew me away that he came in here. The other name right below him that I'll throw out there, because a lot of people may not know, is Adrian Meronk. You want to talk about a dude that bombs the ball? He is probably the longest professional golfer that's not competing like in long drive contests. Like, he absolutely smashes the ball at $6,900.
He's like Bryson level almost, like off the tee.
Yeah, I mean, he hit a drive in a European Tour event that was like 425 yards. I mean, like, and he's won on the European Tour. Like, he's like 6'9". Like, he's a freak out there. But Meronk right there. who do you like in the 6Ks, Rick? Because I mean, for me, like I think I'm going to end up going with a more balanced build because of the strength in the 8K range. So I'm not going to have to dip down in here. And if I'm going to, I'm playing the two guys I mentioned, Vegas and Moronk.
Yeah, I like the Vegas and Moron calls. I'll go to James Hahn. I think he's a good
He's
play
been
here.
great.
He's been great at this tournament in the past winner here. Last 4 times he's played here he's made 4 out of 4 cuts: T61, T15, T13, and T14. A win before that, so this is a good course for him. He made the cut last week, played pretty decently at Wampo, so I'll definitely go to him. I think he's probably my favorite play in the whole 6K range. I don't like too many guys down here, but I like the Moron call. Luke List is a little interesting, I guess. He's missed the cut the last 2 years, but before that, T30, T15, T26. We know he's so good off the tee. It's just Luke List getting a putter in his hand at this course is just, he can literally 3-putt from 4 feet at this tournament. So a little scary on that aspect. So if you play Luke List, just be careful and not count your chickens before they hatch. I think Lanto is a good price here, 6,500 for Lanto when he was like 7,800, 8,000, like almost like a couple weeks ago is a good price. He has pretty good history here with 3 straight made cuts. That's about it, man. I don't really have anyone else. Matthew Neesmith's all right. He's long off the tee at 6,400. He's made 2 out of the last 2 cuts for him at this tournament. Yeah, I think for me it's Hahn, Moronk, Vegas, and Neesmith, and I think that's it. And who's the other guy I said? Lanto at 6,500. I don't think anyone below 6,500 is a play at all. I mean, JB Holmes at the min might be a little interesting. I mean, the guy he's won here in 2019. He's rarely ever missed a cut here. He's just so long off the tee, but he's just so bad. Like recently, there's a reason why he's $6,000. I don't think I could click that name.
Yeah, there are a couple more names I'll just throw out. Adam Shank's been quietly playing really well at 6,400 to make the cut. Like if you need to round out a lineup, like that's not a bad play. Plays well in California. We saw him a couple years ago, contended Amex, and he's playing good. He's coming in with a couple top 25 finishes, and at 6,400, I think there's some value there. Neesmith right above him. He's made the cut twice. You mentioned it. And again, I know he hasn't been playing great, but I mean, this is a guy that we're getting a massive discount on him this week compared to where he usually is. He's usually in the 7Ks. So that's not bad there. There was one more name that I wanted to throw by you just to get your take. Oh, Sam Ryder, dude. Sam Ryder's playing really good. He's at 6,700. He's made 2 out of 3 cuts at this event with a top 30 last year. Like 6,700, like why not Sam Ryder right there? It's like James Hahn is probably going to be the most popular guy down here. Pivot to Sam Ryder.
Yeah. If you guys follow me on Discord and read my Wednesday write-ups, Sam Ryder was a core play for me last week, and he paid off. He played really well last week, and he played really well at Farmers a couple weeks ago. So let's see if we can ride that momentum into this week. I like that call.
Very cool. All right. Getting into the bets this week, Rick, I have not placed a bet yet. I looked at the betting board a little bit this morning. I like a lot of numbers from Morikawa basically all the way to Will Zalatoris. I love Fitz at 40. So there's a lot there. I think this is probably going to be like a 6-pack week for me where I'm kind of just live in that 60 to 50, or excuse me, that 22 to 60 range.
Yeah.
I love, Adam Scott at 60. Who do you like numbers wise this week?
The 22 for Max Homa is interesting. I think that's we usually don't get, Max Homa at that high of a price, but I don't mind it just because I told myself, Max Homa in California is like automatic. And if we're going to get him at 22 to 1, I like it. Cantlay, I saw a 30 to 1 on Cantlay earlier today. Yeah. And, I think it got beat down to 25 pretty quick, but I like Cantlay. Will Z's like a FOMO bet for me. He's definitely going to be on my card. I like
he's automatic. When you get him in the high 20s or 30s, it's like you got to bet him.
Yeah, and then in that 60 to 80 range, I like Adam Scott, like you said, 60 to 1. I like Keegan 71. I like Siwoo and Wyndham Clark both at 100 to 1. Those are good numbers in my opinion. Yep. But we don't really see. For some reason at this tournament, we don't see like the odds-on favorites win. We don't see like really big long shots win, except for JB Holmes, which is like an outlier, and James Hahn was an outlier. But usually it's that 20 to 60 range that wins this tournament. So for me in that range, I like those the calls of Homa, Cantlay, Wilsey. Like those are the guys that I'm going to be focusing on this week.
Yeah, I like it. I just think in these elevated fields, like there's like 20, 25 guys that can win, and
Yeah,
anybody outside of those guys, again, we almost saw Nick Taylor do it, but he
yeah,
didn't. Scotty Scheffler did it, and he's the number one player in the world. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I get that he was close, but to me, if you're going to go down the board and bet guys like, Cam Davis or Thomas Detry or, Gary Woodland, even like top 10, top 20,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Not to win, not in this kind of field.
Yep, absolutely, I agree.
In our one and done contest, Chris, despite picking Morikawa last week and missing the cut and getting no money, remains number one. But dude, it's a tight race now. We're all within a couple 100,000. Biggest move, obviously, you jumping from fifth all the way up to third.
Yep.
But dude, we're really, really close in the one and done this right now.
Really jam packed, man. I won the week last week. I was the only one that had Rom. Thank God no one had Scheffler. And I'm excited to be up there. And yeah, man, there's only between Chris and Mike, it's only $800,000 difference. If anyone picks the winner this week, it could really flip really fast and another 3.6 million to first place. It's tight in there. I like it. It's exciting, man.
Yep, it's been fun. It's a dynamic where I've done one and dones, but you and I are now in two leagues where we know a bunch of people, and it adds a whole other dynamic. It's different than betting. It's different than DFS.
Yeah.
Because once you use a guy, that's it. You can't go back to him. So the strategy of trying to pick a guy that gives you the best opportunity to make the cut and have a chance at victory, but still have guys to play these big tournaments that are coming. It's a lot of fun. I would tell you that.
It's fun. It's funny. Last week, I think more than my DraftKings lineups, more than my actual bet, I was actually rooting for Jon Rahm to win the tournament for my one and done purposes.
Yeah,
I had him in every single one and done pretty much. I was like, I really want this 3.6 million to jump up the standings. But yeah, man, I'm rolling with Homa this week. If you want to go to the next slide, I'm rolling with Homa this week. Jake's rolling with Sung Jae. Mike is rolling with Vic. You're rolling with Fina. We didn't get a pick from Chris. I think he's traveling back from Arizona, or he just drank way too much. So he might still be in bed today. I'm not really sure, but he didn't respond to any of our texts. So Chris, when you see this, text us your pick. We'll put it out on Discord what his pick is as soon as he sends it to us. She'll be either later tonight or tomorrow morning.
Well, that's how it is when you're a high-ranking government official like Chris is, and you work for an organization like NASA. You're under a lot of pressure and scrutiny, and so you never know. Like, they may have sat him down and said, "Hey, you need to take it easy. We've seen the social media posts. We've heard about what you're doing out there in Arizona. We need you to calm down." So, Chris, if you're getting that kind of pressure from the federal government, let us know, and we appreciate it. Good luck out there.
I can tell you that he is not getting that pressure. Chris has been at NASA for almost like 20 years now. He is like literally one of the cushiest jobs I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, he can literally take a dump in the floor and like wear no pants to work, and he has no repercussions.
No repercussions whatsoever.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, I appreciate you. We kind of expedited through like the back half of the show because of my schedule. But any final thoughts on Riv, man? Tiger, the tournament, these elevated fields. Like, what do you think of all this?
I like it, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Tiger back in the field. I'm not really sure why he's playing this week. It's a tough walk for a golf course.
Yep.
But I'm excited. He's going to play. I think he's going to play this week. And I think the only other tournament we could see him in before the Masters is probably the Players. And
is he in for the Players? Do you think? Like, because I know they have like qualifications to get in, but I'm sure if Tiger was like, "Hey, I want to play," they're not going to be like, "No, you didn't qualify."
I don't think they're going to deny Tiger a spot. I mean, I'm sure they'll figure out a way for him.
Sponsors exemption.
Yeah, I mean, he won the Masters in 2019. Of course, he's in the.
He's in. Yeah, he's in.
So yeah, I think we'll see him this week. I think we'll see him at like I said, the Players. I don't know if we might see him at API, maybe, since that's an elevated event this year. I don't know, but yeah, I'm excited for this week. I think me and you have, we've nailed this tournament pretty much. Like
both had Joaquin last year, man.
Yeah, Neiman, Homa the year before that. Yeah, man. I think me and you have this tournament down pretty good. So I think let's hit another winner this week. We'll put out our bets on Discord on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Join the Discord. You'll find the link down in the comments. Subscribe to the Nickel City Mafia channel. Continuing coverage of the NFL, the Super Bowl, the Bills, fantasy football with you and Chris. So there's tons of stuff there. Follow us on the golf channel. Reach out to us on Twitter. We'll post, as Rick said, our betting cards for the week on both Twitter and Discord. And good luck to everybody out there. Rick, thanks again, man, for doing an early show. Good luck, and we will see everyone at Riv this week.